Hello and welcome back to another LSBA Season 8 video. Today, my team, the Seattle Staraptors, are going to be facing off against our Week 4 opponents, Asaf Bend, coach of the Mauville Manectrics. So, as an insider secret, today we're actually recording our team preview section of the video the night before the battle. Usually I prefer to do them just right before the battle starts, but due to my opponent and I's scheduling, they're a couple time zones ahead of me, and so we're having to do the fight basically right after I get off work tomorrow. So I'm just going to do this now so that I can get it out of the way, and so that we can get to our battle as soon as possible tomorrow. So just to review, my opponent's Pokemon roster are the following. He has Rillaboom, Jellicent, Sylveon, Bronzong, Conkeldurr, Tornadus T, Vikavolt, Snorlax, Drapion, Tyrantrum, and Mega Camerupt. And my roster is still Dragapult, Tapu Lele, Weavile, Mega Medicham, Galarian Zapdos, Ribombee, Nidoking, Incineroar, Azelf, Regieleki, and Milotic. So let's go ahead and just hop straight into the team that we've brought, starting with Azelf. This week I've decided to go with the Stealth Rocks entry hazard type over the Sticky Web type. Notably, just looking over my opponent's team, their team is very, very slow, with only one of their Pokemon being above base 100 speed, that being Tornadus Therian. After that, they have some things like Drapion at 95 base speed, Rillaboom at 85, Tyrantrum at 71, and then after that it plummets down to like 60 and below. So there's really no reason to set up sticky webs, especially since the fastest thing on the opponent's team in Tornadus is a flying type, so sticky webs wouldn't be able to slow it down anyways, unfortunately. Meanwhile, my opponent's team isn't super weak to Stealth Rocks necessarily, but I still do value the chip damage, and especially on a bulkier team like this. I do think that just getting whatever free damage we can get will be valuable, all things considered. So other than that, this is a very typical suicide lead type Azelf. We've got Stealth Rocks are hazards, Taunt to prevent opposing hazards, and I'm actually really worried about my opponent trying to set up Trick Room and sweep us with that. That may very well happen, we'll have to see, but Taunt is a way to try and prevent that as well. Knockoff, just for general utility and Explosion. I'm going with Explosion this week over U-Turn because I want to be aggressive to try and pick up offensive momentum early and try and hold on to it. One thing with a team as bulky as this is I think if I try and faff around and, play around with these weak little U-turn hits that won't do very much damage, I think that's not very worthwhile. My opponent does have one Ghost type in Jellicent, but, I think as long as we're careful about that and play smart, we can either hard switch into something or we can go for an Explosion early game. So that is about all for Azelf. This week we are going back to our more typical Life Orb Weavile. The only difference is instead of Low Kick, which is kind of my go-to coverage move, we're picking Pursuit as a second dark move, in addition to Knockoff, and then we have Ice Shard Priority and Triple Axle. Particularly, my opponent has their two potential Trick Room setters are Jellicent and Bronzong. So if we can get in and Pursuit Trap either of those, that would be fantastic. I'm also thinking things like if we find out that the Tornadus isn't Choice Scarf, we could potentially Pursuit Trap that, and I don't know, just pretty good. Triple Axles are go-to Ice Stab, as it has been the last several weeks. Ice Shard's really nice. Several of my opponents' faster and more threatening threats, or more threatening fast threats rather, can be kind of managed with Ice Shard, those being things like Tornadus is weak to Ice Shard, so if it is a Scarf variant, we can potentially you 40% or whatever with Ice Shard to that. Rillaboom's obviously a big threat if it gets grassy terrain up with Grassy Glide, but we are faster than it and can hit it with out-prioritize its priority basically with Ice Shard. And then Tyrantrum, if it's a Scarf variant or if it gets a Dragon Dance up, Ice Shard also does a lot of damage to that. And then Knockoff is just good. Not too much to say about this. Weavile doesn't change much week to week, but it's just so good at what it does that it doesn't really need to change a lot. We're busting the Nidoking Special Wall Breaker back out again this week. Again, this is another set where there's not a whole lot to say. It just hits things really hard and it's really good at what it does. Got our Dual Stabs and Earth Power Sludge Wave. Flamethrowers primarily for like the primarily for the Bronzong in case it's Levitate. It also hits things like Vikavolt super effectively. And then the Thunderbolt is for something like Jellicent or Tornadus potentially. Between our stabs, we just don't need other coverage like Ice Beam, for example. Everything that would be that would be weak to other coverage moves that Nidoking could pack are pretty much covered by its stabs. They just, even though the things that fire hits are like really niche, I don't think we need anything else. I guess I will quickly look over the move list here just to make sure. We really don't need ice coverage. Dragon's not very good. Focus Blast? No, I don't think so. Like that's the thing too, is like something like Scorching Sand could be potentially good if we didn't have Sheer Force, which took the burn chance off. Yeah, no, I think that our moveset's good as is. If we needed another Taunter, that's an option, but I value the ability to not be walled by Bronzong. Because that's the thing, Bronzong can be either Levitate or Heat Proof, or it has another ability too, but like, if it's Levitate, then we can't hit it with our stab ground attacks, but if it's Heat Proof, then our Flamethrower won't be effective. But if we have both, then we can like, troubleshoot on the fly, you know? That way, if it happens to be Levitate and we don't bring fire coverage, we're not just walled by it, kind of. So yeah. So yep, that's the Nidoking. This slot with Tapu Lele was the one that I deliberated over the most by far. It came down to either Tapu Lele, Galarian Zapdos, or what was the last one? Incineroar were the three options. I ended up going with Tapu Lele narrowly over the other two options, just because I'm kind of counting on its Psychic Terrain, to debilitate Rillaboom some. If Grassy Terrain isn't up, then it can't use its priority moves, which is good for us. The other thing, though, and kind of more importantly, is that I'm counting on Psychic Terrain to kind of bolster our Mega Medicham Psychic attacks, obviously, or not, maybe not obviously. Psychic Terrain, kind of like Rain, boosts the power of Psychic moves under that terrain. And so that'll allow Medicham here to break through some things like Jellicent, for example, a little more easily with Psychic attacks. But anyways, yeah, I'm not sure that this was necessarily the right option, but it's the one that I decided on. We got Taunt for more silliness prevention. We're not bringing any hazard removal this week, which our team's not particularly weak to hazards, only Noelle. The Weavile is really super weak to Stealth Rocks, for example, but if we can prevent them from going up, that'd be great. This opponent is also one of the many this league season that's been running screens semi-frequently, so if we can prevent light screen, reflect setup, that would be great. Just all that kind of stuff. Other than that, we got Dual Stab, and then I'm actually going to be a little cheeky. I know I said this last week too, but I'm going to be a little cheeky and whip out Nature's Madness. I wasn't sure what coverage move would be good this week, and I remembered that Nature's Madness is basically just a special Super Fang. So, like, I'm gonna be a little cheeky. Like, Tapu Lele otherwise couldn't very effectively get through something like Bronzong, for example. But I think if Bronzong has, like, a little bit of HP gone, then you Nature's Madness it. Like, I didn't run calcs on this or anything, but might be able to pull something cheeky like that off. Or like Snorlax is another one. It's like really bulky, but if you take a half of its HP away, then Tapu Lele might be able to muscle through it and stuff like that. And then similarly, I had no idea. I didn't want to run a third Life Orb on the team, so I decided on Metronome just because I figure, you know, if we get in against so many of my opponents' Pokemon this week are just really bulky, so it's one of those things where if we use an attack and something switches in and takes maybe, you know, like 40 damage or 40% damage from it, if we do it again, then it gets that 20% power boost. If they heal, then we can hit them again. And I don't know, it's a little janky, it's definitely gimmicky, but we're gonna try it out. Mega Medicham this week is a little different than usual. We're running our dual stabs here in High Jump Kick and Psycho Cut. I think I explained this week 1. I kind of like Psycho Cut over Zen Headbutt just because I'm not really counting on flinches from Zen Headbutt. Psycho Cut, on the other hand, is 100% accurate, whereas Zen Headbutt is like 90%, so you can miss with this one. And then it's 10 base power or less powerful, but it has the high crit ratio, so I figure if we can fish for some crits, like, I'll take it. And we got Thunder Punch, mostly for Jellicent. I think if Psychic Terrain's not up, and I don't have the calcs pulled up, but I think 2 Thunder Punches is more consistent to beat out Jellicent than 2 Psycho Cuts. I think if the terrain is up, then Psycho Cut's pretty good. But then Thunder Punch is also valuable coverage for things like Tornadus, mostly. And last but not least, we have Bullet Punch. I was deliberating whether I wanted to run Fake Out, but my opponent's team's so slow that we don't really... It's slow and bulky, so I don't think Fake Out will be super good this week. Drain Punch is always an appealing option, but again, like, he has a lot of, like, either neutral or resist to fighting. And then Bullet Punch I thought was a nice option, because it's just another thing that can help us, like, do damage control on some of these faster threats, like Tyrangium, for example. If that gets Dragon Dancing or Scarfing out of control, we can, like, Bullet Punch it. It gives us a attacking move for Sylveon, although Psycho Cut probably does more to Sylveon anyways, but if we need to out-prioritize Rillaboom, for example, that's an option. If we need to hit Tornadus T, it's an option that we can use more than once, and just... Again, the 4th move slot on this is kind of fluid, but I thought figured this would be okay. And last but certainly not least is Wet Boy Summer, or my Milotic. So we are going back to almost the exact same set that we ran week 1. The only difference is that I swapped Surf out for Ice Beam. Or Ice Beam out for Surf, rather. So we got Flip Turn, Toxic Recover, so we're running this as a very physically defensive Marvel skill. Leftovers type Milotic this time. Our opponent is bulky offense, so I would not be surprised if this week we caught a Toxic off of something. With our own Toxic, we can potentially eat through some of these defensive mons that my opponent has a little more effectively. Flip Turn for momentum. And then Surf, I'm running Surf over Scald this week just because I want to be deliberate with what I'm statusing. I don't want to, like, try and go for a Toxic on something and have them switch it and accidentally get burned, basically. Surf's also just a little more powerful. It hits a lot of things on my opponent's team neutrally. Mega Camerupt is weak to water, Tyranium's neutral. Most of my opponent's team is neutral, actually. Except for Jellicent and Rillaboom, but... You know, that's alright. So that's about it. This is probably the sloppiest team that I've put together, just because I've built it, like, just for some behind the scenes. I started team building at, like, 12:50 a.m. and now it is, like, 2 a.m. So this is a very, like, late night, quick and dirty build, but hopefully it works out for us. And if not, that's okay too. Anyways, stay tuned for the battle tomorrow evening, which will be right after the camera cut here, and we'll see how it goes. Alrighty, so here we go with the actual battle here in a minute. One thing that I do want to quickly address, though, is that I made a split-second decision to swap Incineroar in over Tapu Lele. So the team's the same as I described just a moment ago, but instead we're running Incineroar, Adamant, Leftovers, Intimidate, Parting Shot, Knock Off, Taunt, and Blaze Kick. I came to the realization today while waiting for the battle that if I didn't have this, then Rillaboom kind of bullies my team hardcore. So I made that decision last minute. So I'm gonna go ahead and challenge our opponent here, and we should be able to get going pretty quickly here. As off bend, open, challenge to National Dex Anything Goes. And here we go. Let me just make sure, yeah, all of the copy and pasting of the set worked out okay here. So hopefully that works well. Yeah, so again, I still think that this team's a little sketchy. Doing like 1 to 2 a.m. team builds is always a little sus, yeah, but we'll do our best. Like, the other thing with Tapu Lele, just while we wait for my opponent to accept the challenge here, there we go, is that I realized too that I'm kind of relying on priority, like not a whole lot, but kind of. Like we have our, we have our Weavile with Ice Shard for like Tornadus, we have our Medicham with Bullet Punch for like Tyrantrum potentially, and so having Psychic Terrain out disables those as well. Okay, so here goes our match. Let's see, I think my opponent will post about it. Yeah, well, let's see. I can do it here too. This is gonna be a little disorganized since I didn't actually have this prepared ahead of time. Okay, let's see. You two, I'm gonna say. Okay, so let's see what we've got. My opponent does bring the Rillaboom, so I feel better about this decision already. We see Tornadus, Sylveon, Bronzong, Drapion, and Mega Camerupt. Alright, so I actually feel pretty good about this. He didn't bring Jellicent, which is nice. And since he has some of his faster mons on the team, I don't think that we're going to be seeing, whatchamacallit, the thing, I don't think that we're going to be seeing Trick Room necessarily. Okay, so I think with this setup, we can just pretty safely lead Azelf. I'm expecting either a Tornadus or a Bronzong lead. With Bronzong, we have to taunt it first turn. With Tornadus, we can just go for Stealth Rocks, I think. So yeah, I think that's fun. And like, we don't want to explode into Bronzong ideally, but since he doesn't have Jellicent, we can kind of somewhat safely go for Explosion. At least we'll do damage to something, you know? So I don't know what this wants to do. It probably wants to taunt me, actually. Does this get taunt? I'm gonna look it up really quickly. Let's see, let's go Tornadus. So that would make sense on a lead, right? Leaf Pidge. Does this get taunt? This does get taunt. Okay. So I'm gonna try and play the like high IQ game. We're gonna go for knockoff. Okay, they're just gonna go for U-turn. That's fine, honestly. Anything except Mega Camerupt, we're fine with knocking off. Okay. Knockoff actually did a decent amount. I'm kind of surprised about that. Okay, so here, what's more valuable to me? Getting my own rocks up or stopping theirs? Since we have 2 rock weaknesses now, I think that we don't want to let them get rocks up, but he's probably just going to hit me with an offensive move, right? Yeah, I think I just go for Stealth Rock here. My opponent has what, 1 Defogger? Yeah, that should be okay. And if my opponent goes for Stealth Rock here, okay, so that's what they did. That's fine, honestly. We're just gonna explode. Like, heck with it. Oh, that'll take the Camerupt out. Nice. Boom, baby. So for our league rules, that'll count as a mutual KO. So Azelf took out, well, he'll do double-sided arrows, make a Camerupt. So we'll take it, we'll take it. We both got rocks up, which is unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. So what can we go into here? Weavile is a little sketchy at this point in time. I guess I just don't know. Okay, well here's the thing, my opponent doesn't have rapid spin, so in order to get rid of rocks, he would have to defog both of our rocks away, which I'm actually kind of okay with. What's our safest option here? I don't want to go into Medicham at this point because Tornadus is still alive. Yeah, so what do we do here? We naturally outspeed Tornadus with Weavile, but if it's Scarf Tornadus, it could potentially mess us up pretty bad. I guess we don't really need Weavile too much for anything else though, so we're just gonna go into Weavile, I think. And they are going to go into Tornadus here. So, if this isn't Scarf, then we can just KO it. If it is Scarf... let's go for the Pursuit here, I think. Okay, so it is Scarf. That's fine. We do get the Pursuit off anyways, because... yeah, because even though it U-turned, we still get that damage, which is fantastic. So in comes Venom, the Drapion. I think we're just going to stay and go for a triple axle here, unless this is Scarf too. I guess it could be. Does Drapion get Sucker Punch? I guess I should look that up really quickly. I don't think it has other priority. Could be wrong though. Let's take a look. What does this get? Swords down. Okay, this doesn't show. So what does it have? Quick Attack? No. Sucker Punch? No. Okay, I don't think it has a priority necessarily. Let's just go for triple axle here. So we get 1 hit, we get 2 hits, we get all 3 hits. Okay, that's pretty cool. Drapion will just take us out with a poison jab. That's a-okay. So the thing here is that Tornadus has Regenerator, so when it comes in, it won't necessarily die. It'll be at 60%, but then it'll take 25 from rocks. And then I think, like, either... I don't know, something will be able to KO it. Shouldn't be a big deal. So let's see, Drapion takes out Weavile. How fast is Drapion? I don't remember what this thing's base speed is. It is base 95 speed, so it's pretty speedy actually. In that case, I think we just go into our Mega here. And I feel pretty comfortable just going for a high jump kick. If my opponent has Protect and uses it, then I guess good on them. We're just gonna go for it. Okay, so let's Mega Evolve. Well, okay, hold up. We don't actually have to go for that here. Because Thunder Punch does decent damage against everything except Rillaboom. Yeah, so that's foolish. We don't have to risk the Protect. We can just go for Thunder Punch. Yeah. Because, like, if my opponent did Protect there, or High Jump Kick missed, basically, that would have just felt really super bad. So I didn't want to risk it. Mega Medicham takes out Drapion. Here comes the Sylveon. I don't think Bullet Punch can do even nearly enough damage to this thing. Let's take a look-see, but... Mega Medicham versus Sylveon. Coming in, hard switching into us. Let's look at one with, like, max physical defense. Psycho Cut. No, we don't do nearly enough damage with anything. Okay. So that means that we can pretty safely go into Milotic here. Or do we go into Nidoking, actually? I don't think we do. I think it makes more sense just to go into Milotic. It's especially bulky. If we catch a Toxic, then we get Quick Attack. Okay. So that's going to be a Pixelate Quick Attack. We will have to watch out for that. That means that it can potentially Revenge Kill our Medicham here. I don't want to do a Toxic just in case the Bronzong comes in. We'll just go for a Surf here. Do some damage. let's go for flip turn, see if we can pick up some momentum. They're just gonna hyper voice us, that's fine. They got throat spray, that's kind of cool. The thing with that though is that quick attack is still a physical move, so I don't think we have to worry about that too much actually. So let's play an interesting game here. Honestly, if they want to switch out and lose their throat spray boost, I'm okay with it. I didn't actually look at how much damage Nidoking will do here. Let's take a look-see. Sludge Wave doesn't actually do that much. We're just gonna go for it anyways, though. Oh, that does almost enough. Crazy. Okay. I guess that's fine. So Sylveon will take out Nidoking here. So what do we do from here? Honestly, I feel pretty okay just going back into Medicham. I'll just bullet punch it. Like, what's my opponent gonna do about that realistically, right? We outspeed it, so it can't quick attack us. Make a Medicham, takes out Sylveon. This should be fun. My opponent can just switch out here, but they're not going to for some reason. I would have thought that that would have been the play. So Medicham takes out Tornadus T. So here's the Bronzong. At this point, what does the Bronzong actually do to us? Does it protect? The protect seems kind of obvious though, right? Okay, so what do we got? My low tech can't do anything at this point, so it's a safe like pivot out, but my opponent could just start setting up screens here. I think that's the bigger worry. I'm just gonna go for the high jump kick. Okay, wow, that Oko is crazy. Mega Medicham is nuts. Okay, Mega Medicham takes out Bronzong somehow. I didn't calc that. That surprises me quite a bit. Holy heck. Okay, and then we're not gonna risk. Well, okay. Let's see how much Mega Medicham does to Rillaboom here. Do we have to go for the high jump kick here to KO? Technically, we do. One thing that I'm thinking is that it's probably safer at this point to go out into Incineroar and get the Intimidate off, perhaps? Oh, okay, so let's see. Adrenaline Orb raised the opponent's speed and they Swords Danced. Okay. I'm honestly fine with that. We're not a bulky build, granted, but I think Blaze Kick should still do plenty. It does not do plenty. Oh, that's unfortunate. Alright. Well, let's see how this goes. That might have been GG. High jump kick. Man, that was a good play. Yeah, we got greedy. Literally, our opponent called that we would switch out there. The greed consumed us this week. GG's, my dude. That was a close battle. Yeah, that was a good strat. Alrighty, so here we pick up our first loss of the season, but it was a close 1-0. That was an insane read on my opponent's part. Yeah, because in any normal situation, going for the Intimidate was the safer play, but in fact, my opponent came prepared. I will type out GG, and that'll be that for this battle. Alrighty, so that puts us at 3-1, but we're still at plus 11 differential, which is good. Bringing it all the way down to a 1-0 is definitely preferable if we have to lose it all. And let's take a quick look at what our next week's battle will be. So that'll be week 5, and we are playing Rasha, coach of the Potown Poepoles, which that'll be exciting too, because this will be our first battle against one of the other content creators in the league, so definitely look forward to that. And that'll also be the last battle that we have before we have our mid-season break built into the league, so there will be one more battle video next week, but then for the week starting with the 4th of July and going to the following week, we're taking a break for the league, so we'll be resuming battles the week after the 4th of July, basically. Alrighty, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!